Hey everyone. Well, that'll give your right arm and wrist a serious workout. Holy crap. That was Kirk Hammett and the three solos to Metallica's One, coming in at number 7 on Guitar World magazine's top 100 solos of all time. One of my absolute favorite Metallica tunes from their entire body of music. Arguably the most tightly structured song that they've ever written. Now, while I generally go in for the heavier, more thrashy side of Metallica, with like Battery and Dyer's Eve and stuff like that, the way this song just builds and builds and builds from its rather calm and serene opening to become progressively heavier and heavier and heavier as the insanity and the madness of the underlying story unfolds within the song is just brilliant songwriting. James Hetfield at his peak. And that story about a hospitalized World War I soldier trapped in his mind is the stuff of nightmares, you know. Lyrically, it's probably the greatest thing that Hetfield ever wrote. It's little wonder that at the time, that coupled with the absolutely brilliant and horrifying video that the band produced for the track, that they would soon take over the world of metal and become one of the biggest bands on the planet. The song and video were a serious 1-2 shot by a band at the top of their game, ready to propel themselves beyond all of their contemporaries at the time. That said, I'm still legitimately surprised to see this one this high on the list. Speaking strictly about the solos at this point, it's a great trio of solos, no doubt, from one of Metallica's most recognizable songs, especially the ripping, more metal third solo, which I'm sure solidified its inclusion on this list. I'm just surprised to see it this high at number 7, sitting amongst the ranks of some of the most famous and timeless classic solos of all time. Like I said, it's a fantastic solo for sure, but doing my research on this one, I didn't find a whole lot of extreme praise, analysis, or discussions on YouTube or any internet forums singling out this solo in particular from Kirk and Metallica as being widely touted as one of the greatest guitar solos of all time. If you were to have a look at any top 10 list of Kirk's greatest solos, of which there's tons of them online, it's usually there, of course, but not necessarily at the top, sometimes not even in the top 5. In a general sense, I didn't find much online discussion vehemently confirming the fact that this is Kirk's greatest solo of overall. Metallica's huge fan base, I think, is at play here to some degree. Kirk is on this list 3 or 4 times, while other extremely talented metal guitarists who should be here as well, aren't. Andy LaRocque, Marty Friedman, Alex Skolnick, Paul Gilbert, Adrian Smith, Uli John Roth, Dave Murray of Iron Maiden. I could go on all night. Kirk is a great metal soloist. Of that, there's no doubt. But for him to be here 3 or 4 times, while loads of equally talented metal soloists were just ignored or left off this list, doesn't seem like a very accurate analysis of the greatest solos of all time, at least as far as metal solos go. But that's just my opinion. Take from it what you will. One metal guitar player in particular, with one solo in particular, who for now shall remain nameless, but I think that some of you may know exactly what guitarist I'm talking about and what solo I'm talking about, isn't on this list at all. Actually, I think I may have named him a few minutes ago. Oops. A solo that I personally would put above one as far as metal solos go. And for some reason, it didn't even crack this top 100 list. I'm going to rectify that in a few weeks as my last honorable mention, so stay tuned. Regardless, onwards. Now, don't get me wrong, it's a great bloody trio of solos. I've said this 3 or 4 times already. I don't want to upset the Metallica fans, of which I am a big one. They can be very defensive. That said, it certainly has a place on this list. I just wouldn't have it so high up personally, maybe down around 20 or 22 or something like that. I honestly had a heck of a time learning it and getting it up to speed, the fast solo, that is. It's not easy to play, especially one particular quick lick in it. If you've ever learned this solo, you'll know the one I'm talking about. It's late at night and I'm not plugged in. I'd show it to you, but it's this reverse little legato lick, really tough. awkward to play, and had a really hard time getting it up to speed. The first couple of nights, I couldn't get it past 75% of full speed. Really frustrating. I was worried for a few nights there whether these old fingers could play it or not. Or if I'd eventually just have to butcher my way through it so I could get moving on through the last 6 solos on this list. I had to resort to my old standby, muscle memory. I can't stress enough to you guys out there, and girls, who may be struggling with certain licks or scale runs or some such thing, just how important a few muscle memory practice sessions can be to get you over the hump and finally nail that tricky passage or lick that you never thought that you'd get. So after my first few nights of fumbling through this lick, I hunkered down, 2 or 3 nights of strict focus just on this lick. I'd practice it at 50%, then 75%. Then I'd watch a movie or a TV show, have my guitar on my lap, just going over it for hours mindlessly. And then boom, on the 3rd or 4th night, I sat down, I put the track on 100% speed, and there it was. I had it. A technique that I've used numerous times to get myself through difficult licks from difficult solos on this list. It takes determination and the ability to not get bored doing the same thing over and over and over again. But it bloody well works a charm, especially for speed. The solo to 1, and I'm talking about the main fast solo here, is one of Kirk's favorites as far as his own solos go. Kirk is the quintessential guitar soloist. It's what he does. It's his role within Metallica. Well, except on that masterpiece we like to call Saint Anger. He takes some reluctant pride after the fact that that album did so poorly and showcased the band so poorly, especially considering the fact that he was completely neutered on that album, much to his displeasure. Despite all the fame and glory of being in a band as popular as Metallica, it's got to be tough being the third wheel in a band with Hetfield and Lars Ulrich being the predominant driving forces when it comes to decision making. And to sit back after so many years of success stuck in that position, to have them start making some wrong decisions within the band for the first time, really, at the detriment to Kirk Hammett. It had to be really frustrating for him. Thankfully, in the end, despite his continued relegation to third wheel within the band, he was right. And they were wrong. Metallica fans want guitar solos. It's part of what makes Metallica Metallica. He may not contribute a lot to the songwriting within the band, but his solos are a much needed aspect of what the band's all about. He is a hell of a player. And that's all I've got to say about that one. Pardon the pun. Oh, one last thing. A little interesting little tidbit about the video for one that I found. Because it's used in the video, Metallica had to pay royalties to use the film Johnny Got His Gun, which ended up being a substantial amount of money, which frustrated the band to no end. Every time the video played, they were forking out cash. So instead of pulling the video or continuing to pay, when it came time to renegotiate the license, they simply bought the rights to the film, paid themselves the royalties. Smart. And that's all I got to say about that one. I hope I didn't offend any Metallica fans, because like I said, I'm a huge Metallica fan. I'm a huge Kirk Hammett fan. I was just trying to bring more love to other metal guitar players out there who don't get the love that Kirk seems to get a lot of. So anyway, I hope you're well in your little guitar corner of the world. I hope you like my take on that one. I hope you like my video editing skills. I'm getting fancy. And we're going to see you next time with number 6. We're getting there. A couple of more weeks, we'll be done this list and moving on to pastures new. So you guys take care of yourselves. We'll see you next time. Ciao.